So you've already introduced the theme of today's episode 4 of BRANDCORE, Brand Evolution with Stick from Pat and Sticks. No further explanation needed, right?
No last names needed either.
That's right, no last name. Yeah, I think you were giving away a little bit of a corporate trade secret there by revealing Stick's last name. But
yeah, that you shouldn't really have last names in the record.
But there's many more secrets that Stick has, and he's going to reveal just the right ones, starting with the rebrand and of course the whole evolution of Pat and Sticks. So Jeffrey, let's start by talking about, why do businesses rebrand? Why, when you've got an established feel, why do businesses rebrand themselves?
There's many different reasons, aren't there, Stephanie? I think we both know, don't we? But there's listen, I can only think of Sydney when I think of Sydney, because that's where we are based right now. But the same is in New York, anywhere you are. People are consumers. People love trust. They love a trusted brand, something you can grab onto and hold on forever. But also, consumers are fickle and they get bored. They want the next new shiny thing. That's probably further down the line. I'd say one major reason is because your market changes, your demographic changes. I think we've actually found that a little bit with Pat and Sticks as well. I think that's what he might say from talking to him earlier. Do you have any views on why brands change? Yeah,
so that is sort of the best way to rebrand, isn't it? So a reason to not rebrand is, because sales are down and you think that's going to fix it, or brand awareness is low and that's going to fix it. It's because there's a mismatch between what the brand is projecting to be about and what customers see it as being about. And so if you look at, some like the values have changed. So they used to be about this happy everyday meal occasion, and now.
Sorry, Stephanie. Which company was that? Because you went into a.
I know that my screen went black. It was a little bit. So McDonald's. So in the bad old days, they were this meal that you could have all the time, but now they're sort of more pushing their healthy or bespoke or artisan meals. And think of the banks in Australia. A couple of the banks have rebranded in the last few years, because it used to be about, we are the big safe place to park your money, and now it's more like they're talking about the human factor. We will look after you.
Does any of that really sit well with you still? I mean, to me, it's saying more of the moreness, isn't it?
No, I disagree. I think that, banks and those big businesses can really differentiate with a rebrand that sends a message that, if your house has been burnt down in a bushfire, or you want to start a small business, we're here for you. We're not just for the big trousers in town. So I think
I think one thing we're talking about here is politics, because I think that if anyone sort of sticks together and is anonymous in their trying to, they're all alike, you know what I mean, with the banks, if we want to talk about that. I look at a company like Dunkin' Donuts as well. Do you remember the Dunkin' Donuts 2 years ago? And they were Dunkin' Donuts, and they decided they know the market's changing. They're out. Even the people, the hour that used to be guys would come in, my coffee, Dunkin' Donuts. But things are totally different now, and now they've changed to Dunkin', and they've really made it fresher and they made it for a millennial market.
Yeah, totally. And they've also changed it to more of a mobile workforce, because I think that happened before or during COVID, and they were finding people wanted to nip out and get a coffee, but you don't necessarily want to nip out and get a donut. That's sort of a sometimes food. So they had to rebrand to show that, we're this local neighborhood place where you can just come and grab a coffee. So, So rebrands they're really strategic, aren't they? They're not just because, blue's out of vogue this year, we'd better go pink or red, and let's create some shiny new things for people to talk about. There is actually a really deep Yeah.
Not to scare people with the S word, the strategy word, because I think a lot of people still quander what that's about. But yeah, you have to have a plan of why you're actually doing it, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. So, yeah, so that's some things to consider. And then, you know, and how do you do a rebrand? Well, you know, there's a lot of great content out there on the interweb about how to do this. We've got an article on our website, but basically it starts
Hey,
by
Brew, you
getting
want to
everyone.
do a rebrand?
Hey?
Yeah. I said, hey, Brew, you want to do a rebrand? I was trying to do, I thought you were going into an accent thing.
No, 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 no. I do like funny accents, but not today. Not for this occasion. But basically, I mean, it starts by getting, you know, the most people sort of most connected with the strategy, the business strategy, you know, to get into a room and really reevaluate the target audience and market and see, you know, if anything's changed there. And then to kind of define your vision and values to see, again, if that's changed, where maybe before, like McDonald's, you're about fun, everyday food, and now you're about a sometimes food that also happens to have healthy options. And then you might look at, well, do our assets even match, you know, these things that we've discovered in the workshop? So what kind of brand assets do you think, Jeffrey, sometimes, you know, you find that those brand assets no longer match the new vision, values, taglines?
I'd like to think that when people go to rebrand, they don't look at just the assets myself. I think, yeah, sure, if they need to redo any assets in particular, it goes along with the thought behind why you're doing it, what's your audience, is that shifted? I mean, there's so many different things you would do, but my main thing with the assets is hold on to whatever you can. That if I had one tip, big tip for rebranding, we've had people come to us, because I forgot to say we're the offices and we do branding for less, for an excuse for less sexy word. But so we've done a lot of rebrands, and we've had people come to us and said, we just want to rebrand. We want to change everything. You know, okay, what do you want to change? And that's a big problem, changing everything, because you've gotten this far with what you've got. Unless you really didn't set up right at the beginning, which sure, many people do. They'll start up and get going for 4 or 5 years, as you probably should in many cases. And then they want to rebrand. So they wouldn't have much to hang on to. But what I would say, if you've had a long brand success or long journey in your business, and you've got some assets, hold on to what you can, because people are used to that. They've worked for you, and it's like with Coca-Cola, they don't just hey, we're gonna be like Pepsi and go and throw everything into the basket, and which I love Pepsi, mind you, but I'm just saying they tend to stay really on top of what they've done, and they may vary with their success in some years, but they keep chipping away at what they have, which
because you've got equity. Yeah, because you've actually got equity built up in a brand, a recognizable brand, whether it's, you know, MasterCard or whether it's Pat and Sticks, as we're going to see shortly.
That's right. Can I just mention one thing? Angela said, fancy cup. It is a very, very fancy cup. Thank you very much. And thank you to the fine people at, what's that?
Must be Typo. It's probably from Typo.
Thank you to the fine people at Typo for my fancy cup. It's bang on brand with metallic, I'd say. So with that said, do you want to try to hop on to get Stick online now? Shall we?
Why don't you invite Stick?
Okay. I'm going to talk to everybody that's ever been a friend and that is out there. This could be painful, so bear with us.
Let's hope it doesn't drop out. Yes, this does happen sometimes, doesn't it?
It happened last week a lot.
It did happen last week.
So we are.
Here we are.
Now, the one thing I don't know is how to.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Stick.
Stick, your camera is the wrong way. Flip it around the other way.
Sorry, guys. Say that again.
Your camera is turned in a really funny.
You got to turn it.
You've got to go.
Here we go.
Yeah. Now you're with us.
Oh, better?
That's a lot better.
That's perfect. Thanks, Stick. So thanks for joining us, everyone. So with us live here today in not so sunny Sydney, Australia, is Stick from Pat and Sticks. And we're gonna ask Stick a couple of questions about his brand. But first of all, Stick, do you want to tell us where you're sitting today? What's happening in the background?
Some strategically placed props so that you can see what we've done just lately. But look, we're pretty pumped at the moment. We're doing a gig for Australian Venue Company in 5 different states. So the Winter Village project, which is really good. Good to have nice business in winter. So yeah, the boys are behind me. They're baking a whole lot of mini cookies. Through the weekend, we're going to make more ice cream, more cookies, send it out to, I think, South Australia next week, up to Brisbane. So yeah, we've got a lot happening right now, which is nice.
That's really exciting. Woo, we're seeing some little love hearts filter up the screen. Thanks for whoever put that in.
Love hearts. Yeah, bring on the love hearts, please. Thank you. All right, more. Hey, so you're in the factory. You're down. Are you down in your little engineering place?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Are you in your little engineering place in the business?
Yeah, kind of. It's my favorite area. It's just full of tools. So basically, we've we started from nothing, literally. All we knew how to do was make ice cream, and I didn't even know how to do that at the start. It was Pat. So we still put things together ourselves, maintain them ourselves, and do that sort of thing. And you know, that was that's been the thing from the very start. But I guess that's why I'm kind of happy doing this, because I like doing all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you've always been the master engineer. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about those early days? Because I love that story. So you guys were friends, you met back in 2004, and you literally started the business on your kitchen table with homemade equipment. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
How did you guys meet?
We were playing ultimate frisbee with Jeffrey for a few years, and Pat and I were good buds, doing lots of stuff. Brewing lots of beer and cooking, but then Pat was pretty unhappy, wanted to start something new. So he wanted to do ice cream, and I don't know, it just seemed like he'd been wanting it for a while, but the timing was never right. And I said, well, the timing's never right, just have a crack. So we put some stuff together for a weekend market in Balmain, and completely failed to get the product ready, and everything just sort of screwed up on us the night before. We put her off for a week. The following week, we knocked together this little machine, which was just nuts and bolts and bits of wood and stuff we found to basically push out an ice cream sandwich and put a cookie on it. Hand operated, a bit of fishing line to cut it all off. And yeah, we just started making them, got some to market. We sold out in our first day. It was like we managed to make about, I think, 87 or so ice cream sandwiches, and we sold them all. The next week we sold 163, and then we just kept going from there. And when I look back at the photos of the ice cream sandwiches we made, they were terrible. They were compared to what we do now. They were sort of a little bit misshapen, but they were homemade. They looked homemade delicious. So
and they tasted great. They always tasted great right from the beginning.
Well, that's right. It's because we always wanted to do something. We called it Pat and Sticks Homemade because we always wanted to do things that you felt like you could make them at home if you really wanted to. And for the first, I don't know how many months, we did make them at home. And then we got a little factory. We set that up and kept just trying our best to do more and more. We always struggled to make enough ice cream until we started this place in Botany. And then we could finally make enough ice cream to keep up with things.
Yeah.
But we've thrown a bit of automation on now. We've got, it's still, the bones of the product are the same. It's still high quality artisan ice cream. We make it in batch freezers. We use all butter in our cookies. We bake them off. Everything gets sort of attention to all the details. But instead of making sort of 150 a week, we can make a few tens of thousands a week.
Wow.
If we want to.
That's
so,
progress. Yeah. That's so interesting. And at the beginning, your branding and packaging was very simple. And maybe between you and Jeffrey, you can like tell us a bit about that. But what was
can I say
kind
something?
Of,
It actually was not simple at all. It was difficult, was it not, Stick?
It was really, it was a bit of a trick, you know. We always made do with what we had right in front of us, and that's the thing. All we wanted to do was test out. It seems like we're always just testing it out. But we just got sandwich paper, and we just have a special little fold, and we'd fold them up, put a wrapper around them, and send them out. But it took a lot of effort, you know. Took a lot of people. It was slow, cumbersome, but they looked really cool. But you couldn't base any mass distribution off that sort of model. So we had to work.
Stephanie, I interrupted you, so finish your question. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, what were some practical considerations of the brand? Because, you know, I'm sure that with a lot of the people listening, there are some people bootstrapping. There might be, you know, the next great Australian brand somewhere in our audience today. But what were some things you had to consciously do to keep it simple, such as the restricted colour palette at first? So what were some things that you and Jeffrey back at the time?
Yeah, well, look, largely there's a lot of restrictions. Like when we first started, it was basically whatever we could spit out of an inkjet or a laser printer. We could slice it off by hand if we needed to and put it together. And that was it. We just had to find things that worked around what we could do because we were too small to talk to any of the big packaging companies. And we didn't, you've got to do a lot of rooting around in the industry to find the people who can or who are willing to start off with small MOQs for packaging, or, you know, there's always constraints around it. And I still have to, you know, think consciously about these. If I put out, Jeffrey and I were talking this morning about a new range of multi-packs we're putting out. With some companies, to get a good price per unit, you're looking at buying 150, 200,000 packs. Yeah. Which is a fair bit of outlay. Like it's many pallets of storage just in your warehouse. So we just had to work out ways we could get, say, one standard blank pack, stick a label on it. And I mean, we still do it in bits and pieces. When we launched our oat milk ice cream, we just laser printed on clear labels and stuck them on and put them into a store. Because we're pushing ourselves a little bit, where, you know, we were the first ones we thought to make a decent, fully vegan oat milk ice cream product, which stood up to the real dairy products we made. But we weren't sure if people would take to it. But the cool thing is, we found a packaging format which we could just buy, say, 5,000 of, 10,000, and then put labels on. We could, you know, have flexibility to change flavors midweek if we needed to. So, and with color palettes, things like that, they're still in play, because if we look at the flexible packaging we use, say we want to do it domestically, when I say domestic, even locally within Sydney, we've sort of got a minimum amount we can do of around 20,000 packs, so 20,000 units worth, but we can only use 4 colours on that process. If we go down to Melbourne or we go offshore, then we can do, you know, a 9-colour process, but our setup charges, they can amount to $20,000 for setup fees across all our flavours. And then you're tied into that one supplier for many years. So, there's a lot of considerations. But
what you're
do
saying
as
for a
much
small brand,
flexible
there's
packaging as you can at the start.
Mm.
so for a small brand, I mean, what you're trying to do is keep your costs down. And like you say, a plate to rechange a plate for a color costs what, $400 or $350 local or something like that. You need to really keep it tight.
Yeah,
Is what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah, that's right. Because
Yeah.
you've got to pay those plates off over time, and
Yeah.
yeah, some of them take a long time to pay off.
Yeah. Yeah. Got you. But as your business grew and you sort of moved from, you know, creating a couple of hundred units a week to a couple of thousand, and now you're saying sort of 20,000 plus. So you're able to add more interest to the packaging. So, you know, what were some things that, you know, made a difference, I guess, at the point of purchase for things like the tubs that you introduced maybe 5 years after starting, and the color coding introduced? So what were some things that you were able to achieve with those embellishments, I guess?
Look, there's in all honesty, we benefit from having these little guys,
Yeah.
which only sell our product in them. But we have noticed that it's difficult with a lot of clients. They want the product, but they don't want to put a freezer in because they don't have the space or the need for it. So we'll, you know, sneakily jump into a Steach or a Peter's freezer. In those sort of areas, it's difficult to stand out. We used to have it was a really hokey looking bag. It was a preformed little pouch, and we'd run it through a little heat sealer. So everyone was unique because you know, it got sealed in a different position, and they were quite plain. They only had 3 colours on them.
Hey, I love those
You added
hats.
one colour, and it gave it a bit more pop in the freezer. And we still use that same design right now. We'd love to change it in the future, but the cool thing is you can still see the ice cream in the bag because we leave one section clear. And yeah, the colours on it relate to the backing board we have, or they actually related to the old backing board, not the new one, funnily enough. But it's always a progressive thing. So it's really good when you can have, I guess we're benefited from having fans of our product. So once they try it, they always come back and they talk about our brand and the product we make. They talk about it with their friends. So we're a grassroots, like pure grassroots company in that regard. So when they talk about it, they see it once, they know what it is because someone told them, or they want to try something different. They try it, they come back to it, and then over time, if we introduce a small change, then they go, "Oh, what's this?" And they'll notice, and then we can introduce the new flavors. But for us, you know, we make ice cream. I'm techie. I'm a geek on all these things. Brand is something I don't know. It's not my forte. That's why I've got people like the officers to.
But you do have an opinion.
Yeah, I've always got opinions. Yeah, many people do. But look, it's good to have someone who can just point you in the right direction with that.
Yeah.
And
Got you.
yeah, later on, I'm sure you're going to ask me about the rebrand.
Well, I think maybe we should get onto that now because I know you don't have tons of time today. So, you know, we're sort of almost sort of 15 years into the business and a couple of realizations hit you guys. So do you want to tell us a little bit about what you're hearing from the retail setting, what you're hearing from customers that kind of led to this, this sense that we need to refresh the brand?
Stephanie, can I say, did you just say 15 years into the business?
Yeah, I mean, founded in 2004, so.
That's a long time, isn't it? Okay,
It is.
yeah, sorry. Go back to your question, sorry.
Making me feel old. Should I have a midlife crisis right now? I'm not sure. We'll go over that later. Look, with our decision to rebrand, I think it was overdue by about 3 years.
I agree.
And maybe even 4 years. We saw a sort of a diminished return from all our assets, which are the freezers here. So we could see a diminished return from each one. But being so small and constricted by resource, you know, we've got to spread ourselves across a lot of things. Fixing the machines, new product development, working out how you do impossible products and bring them into a production line, get the right packaging in, supply of ingredients, all these things, they all fall on the same sort of couple of people in the business. So we finally, after a few missteps with, I don't know, looking at trying to solve our problems in the wrong way, we finally went, you know what, we've got a chunk of cash we can spend on this. It's really important because we know that our freezers hadn't changed in look for 12 years or so. So even though a lot of people still remark on how much they love the old freezers, with the stripes and the old school look to them. In fact, some customers even insist on getting the old ones. We knew that we needed to really switch things up. At the same time, we knew we needed to do a lot of refurbishment on our assets to just give them a spruce up, put lighting in and underneath them and things like that. So we approached you guys and said, look, walk us through the process of what's involved to set up this brand. It was sort of it was off the books. It was me and Nick, my general manager, who's not here right now. We met with Jeffrey and we sat down and we talked about what was involved in getting these, I don't know, step by step, what a new brand would start to look like, how it would be put together, and what impact we wanted it to have in the market. I mean, we knew that we wanted something that was dramatically different.
Yeah.
And as a business
if I
owner,
can interrupt,
yeah.
You had one specific thing you wanted to do, and you wanted to be able to speak to the audience at point of sale. Do you remember that?
Very much, yeah.
Yeah.
It was very much that, because previous to that, we'd actually invested a bit in our Instagram sort of efforts, and we drove our following up, but there was no sort of subsequent increase in sales. It's really hard to get that relation across, because ice cream, you can't link on Instagram to a Shopify site, because there's no, you know, if you're in Perth and you go, oh, this looks really cool, I'll buy that. It just doesn't work. We're not going to send you an ice cream in the post. I mean, we could, but I don't know if you're going to be happy with the result. But we knew that there were like a few seconds of a customer's attention that we had to grab when they walked into a store, where they went, oh, Steach freezer, I know it, I'm used to it, I've had it since I was a kid, or Peter's, same sort of deal, or hey, what's this new thing? Because we hadn't changed our look, we knew that just putting a new background on there would do something. But, you know, we also knew that it had to be cohesive and it had to bring in more, so it had to play across every product that we develop now. So, yeah, point of sale impact was it. And we've put these ones in at stores, and they've had really positive responses from people. Not just saying, hey, that looks cool, but like real responses where we'll visit a customer instead of every 6 weeks for a top-up, we'll be there every 3 weeks or every 2 weeks or every 1 week. You know, it's, point of sale impact really mattered. Yeah. And, there was a lot to it.
Yeah, cool. One thing that was really interesting is that we did some customer surveys right at the beginning, and so the original brand with its stripes, it was all about authenticity. So it was old school authenticity, like sort of an ice cream you might have got in the 1950s before people started messing with ice cream recipes and stuffing all sorts of, you know, stupid stuff in their ice creams.
Making the bottom line work rather than making people happy.
Stupid stuff.
And so what we found with customers was, we found that people loved the authenticity, but it was now almost a given. So you wouldn't buy an inauthentic ice cream, and people are sick of like the mass-produced ones. So the message about authenticity we found was kind of less imperative to communicate. But what we found was that all sorts of, it wasn't just your highbrow gourmet kind of customers that are buying Pat and Sticks. You know, you were saying that truckies were stopping at a service station to refill, and instead of reaching for a big name brand, they'd reach for Pat and Sticks. So you found that your audience was actually much more diverse than we thought it was. And another thing we found is that, you know, we're all adults. We're not like kids wanting to eat an ice cream every day. So people are eating, even people who love ice cream are eating it no more than once or twice a month. And so when they do have that, they want to have this great sense that it's this enjoyment, that it's kind of put a little boost in their afternoon like they wanted. And so the sense of like enjoyment, you know, when you do have an ice cream, you're going to just enjoy it to the max. That was something that, you know, we felt was really important to give to customers. Hence the, you know, the vibrant palette and all the fun little, the quirky language and inside jokes that are all through it. Yeah.
No, it worked really well, and that, definitely, it's interesting to see how all the customers respond to it. I've sat and watched the type of people who buy the product and or heard about it from all sorts of folks.
Cool.
Now it's just about getting more reach. I think
the unique thing to me was that you were serving people your ice cream on Qantas flights in the, was that in first class or business? How did they do?
Yeah, we were. If everybody remembers Qantas, they flew the big airplanes. We were their sort of preferred supplier, which I'm really chuffed about, for first class and business dessert offerings. So we're actually looking at being on a cycle right before coronavirus hit, of course, and grounded everything. But yeah, we've had a premium following.
But with that following, I don't feel that you had the brand recognition that you rightfully deserve. Like, to me, that was, even from the beginning when you started, you had amazing like things in Vogue Living and in the Sydney Morning Herald, all over the place. But it is easy for brands to be forgotten, and now what we're trying to do is reshift the brand, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting talking to you guys about it because you have very specific ideas and understanding of how all that works. To me, as a business owner and a brand owner, I sort of look at it and go, we don't need a specific appeal unless the specific people we're targeting is every single person. Because every single person should be eating one of our ice creams. You know?
That's right.
I get what you're saying, but I want it for everybody. But I think the new stuff is fun, and it certainly is, you know, for everybody.
Yeah. I don't. You mean every
Speaking
single...
about evolving brands, that when you talk about the new stuff, what you've had to do is actually evolve your products to be bigger in scope, to have new products, the roulette, and other things you have going on.
Yeah, do you want to tell us about that? Because I know you don't have tons of time. So you talked about that you want to grow the brand. I think what Jeffrey said is a big part of that plan, right? Is the increasing the product variety.
Yeah. We had, over the last few years, we've tried out a couple of different products to sit in different parts of the market. What we've realized and learned is that we should just stick to all the good stuff. So we've made the roulette and the super slice to sit alongside our other products. You know, the roulette's really it is really premium. It's really different. So
Can
you
you describe?
Category, really, isn't it?
Sorry.
It's a new category, which is brilliant. You've created a category.
Can you describe it to people who are listening and might not have tried the roulette yet?
It's sort of, I guess the experience is closely related to what you get from a cornetto. in that it's a wafer cone.
Yeah.
However, it's in a little cylinder. Put a marshmallow in one end. We fill it all with ice cream, and we dip the ends in chocolate and some freeze-dried fruits or some cookie sprinkles. Just to, I don't know, just because we can.
Yeah.
And altogether, it tastes really good. And it's got chocolate-coated, wafer cones, so it stays crispy. And what we're trying to do is, we've got a great sort of friend in the industry who supplies us with those wafer cones, and they're behind us. That's Ultimate Foods, and they sort of support us pushing out this product. But the product has broader application. Like, we can put it into food service channel. We could, when Qantas flies again, it'll sit really well in their channel. The event market, all those sort of things. But we're working now on a multi-pack because it's such an original or unique product. We're putting a multi-pack together, which will carry all the brand elements that we have. We've just invested into sort of grocery stores. So it'll sit in their freezer cabinet, in their upright things, alongside all the Magnums and Messina things and Peters. Haagen-Dazs, etc. But just be new. So that's a brand extension. At the same time, we're reinvigorating our multi-pack for the ice cream sandwiches, keeping it super premium and making sure everyone knows that when they buy it, they're going to be rewarded with, the product that we put on the packaging is actually the product you get inside. It's really important to us, but it's about that premium thing. And we've also got
there are many brands that do not show that premium thing. I mean, they show the premium thing, but they don't live up to the taste. We won't mention names, but you often don't get what you see. Correct?
That's so true. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to deliver on it, but that's I don't know. It's part of what we did, and funnily enough, like right at the start of our rebrand process, you guys at the offices gave us a set of exercises to do that they seem to have no direct input to. Oh, we want our masthead up here and the product name here, and it's got to sit around the front. It had nothing to do with all that. It was asking questions of the people who stood behind the brand and the company and the products that we made. And after, like, we spent a sort of a Sunday doing it, and at first it was like, crap, we've got to do one of these exercises. All right, let's get into it. But we actually started enjoying the process a lot, and asking ourselves a lot of important questions, which you don't get to do because it's really hard to step outside of your brand and your company and what you're doing every single day of your life. To do that, but you gave us a set of questions which gave us an opportunity to jump right outside. We answered those, and things like making sure that what you see is what you get, and that Patent Sticks is always, we want to be that fun, but we always want to deliver on that value and the quality of your experience when you eat our product. So if we put out a terrible product, we're just not happy with ourselves. So all those, we've made missteps, but we're working to fix those up. And it's really awesome having a rebrand that you can get behind, right down to like the tiny little badges that go on there, which, make me smile, like a little penguin holding an ice cream scoop, or the horse that looks like a unicorn with the melted ice cream on its forehead,
Who drew the horse?
In there at the request of my daughter.
There's a bit of history in that, isn't there?
yeah. But when you've got that feeling that your whole brand's there and it's cohesive and together, and you can now apply it to all this stuff, it gives you this weird confidence that you're doing the right thing for a change.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Is there anywhere you go to look at, like, where would you rate? I mean, I look at Australian ice cream brands, just like Australian surfing brands is probably quite good. I mean, we live in a summer sort of, economy here. It's hot a lot. But are there any other countries you really go to and say they're doing it right? Is there any brands you look at that say that's the place?
Oh, look, usually, I mean, we make an American style ice cream, really.
And that's why we started off as that sort of feel, yeah.
Yeah. Like we started making stuff with Pat's original copy from like 1975 of Ben and Jerry's cookbook.
Yeah.
Right?
Can I mention right now, Pat's from Minnesota?
Yeah, that's right. So we've always had that American feel, and in America there are some incredible brands that they're niche artisanal brands. Even some of the major brands, they just sort of carry a history with them, or they're just set up to be super cool, like Van Leeuwen or Jenny's and things like that. So there's always that. You always look to New Zealand, because no matter what we do in Australia, it's sort of, sometimes Australians are just trying way too hard, and then you look at New Zealand, those guys are just having fun and doing it naturally, and they come out with amazing stuff. So from their breweries to their ice cream factories, they do incredible things, but they've got an incredible sense of humour, and they've got incredible sort of dairy industry and everything over there. So certainly, yeah, there. But look, it happens all over the world. Things are popping up. It's hard to keep up. You just sort of stick to your guns.
Yeah. So that's it's hard to keep up. That's a good place to kind of to start wrapping up the conversation. So we've talked about how, the Pat and Sticks brand started. It had to be so basic that you could print off labels on your own inkjet printer, to then being able to add more colors so you could, have 4 plates and maximize the value of those plates and use them over several years, to a rebrand that kind of put everything under one banner, gave it that extra pop of fun, and importantly helped it kind of tell the story of Pat and Sticks at the point of, at the point of sale at the retail place. I don't know, just any sort of, I guess, final words of where you think the brand will go from here.
Well,
I've been talking to Elon Musk about the
one thing we haven't talked about is you've started to push into cookies as well.
Oh yeah, we are, and actually that's something that the rebrand. Our brand and our masthead used to be, Pat and Sticks, homemade ice cream company, makers of the world famous ice cream sandwich, right? That's a lot of words to put in, but now it's been simplified, and all it says is Pat and Sticks. It's got my head and it's got Pat's head, and we'll always, that'll always be it. But we can extend ourselves across anything, and we've been working with like partners like Harris Farm to develop a range of cookies which we bake fresh every week. We're about to get some new equipment inside, which will help us make more and more and more of those, and hopefully send them to other states and work out more on supply chain. But it's cool, because now all you need to do is like, we don't want to extend ourselves too far. Like, we're not going to do an olive tapenade under Pat and Sticks, or a truffle paste, or things like that. Any savoury items, even going too far in sweets is difficult. But we've always made cookies from the very start. We always made ice cream. So anything that can fit within that, not too far away, especially there's practicalities. We need to use our infrastructure, our supply chains, then we'll push out into that. But the cookies, certainly, they're going really well.
Yeah.
And all they are is, well, we just got to do it right. All butter, top quality chocolate, and just top quality process and quality control. What you see is what you get.
Yeah, got you. So we
talked to Pepe Saya the other day about Providence. I mean, we haven't even set upon that now, but you've been very picky about what you're putting into your ice cream, and I think that's what sets you apart. I think Maxi Bond makes a great ice cream stroke cookie, but you really pay attention to what's going into the product, correct?
Yeah, well, that's very true. Like, you know, we make buying decisions based on what the moisture content of the butter we use is, or, you know, which country the butter is from. So it's important because, yeah, if you mess with it too much, it's not the same thing you started with. We only want to get better at what we do and make the product better, not cut corners. So it'll always be there. We have to make sacrifices, but yeah, provenance is important. Yeah. I'd love to see, and we may have a partner in the future who can, like a retail opportunity in the future, where we extend our brand out in sort of vertically and make a super duper premium cookie product.
Gotcha.
And you know, that's where I'll be knocking on Pepe's door and saying, hey, let's throw your butter in. We'll put your brand on there, Patty Sticks, or local like chocolate companies, things like that. Where you know, because this is an experiential cookie product that you're buying. You're not buying it to put, you know, in the office cupboard so that everyone can have a cookie with their morning tea. You know, at the warehouse. This is something to enjoy with special people, special friends. And, we can extend our brand over there.
Yeah, I mean, he was also talking about collaborations, which was what I was going to ask as well, because the initiative with Harris Farms, that sounds really exciting. And I know in the past you've created limited edition flavors for Qantas and for other, you know, private clients. But yeah, a collaboration of sorts. Given that I agree that the core focus is cookies and ice cream, so, you know, within those, there's those types of opportunities to refresh the conversation and remind people that they've got to run to their nearest store and buy one.
Yep. Yeah, well, look, we're very much, we always like the idea. Execution is always a tricky bit, so you got to think about it and have good sort of advisors on that. So if someone collaborates, I'll ask you guys first because you do all that stuff for me.
Yeah. Did we cover all our questions, Jeffrey? And also, do any of the listeners have questions? We did have questions last week, so
I'm going to look. It's a very mild questions week. I don't see any questions. I see a lot of people out there. Hi, Tammy. But not any questions. A lot of love hearts this week, which I prefer. You know what I really like? I like love hearts over questions. I really do.
Yeah, me too. I talk too much. If you give me another question, we're going to be here for an hour or more.
Yeah, true.
Exactly.
You've got some ice cream to churn and some cookies to bake, don't you, Stick?
Yeah, there's plenty for me to do. So I've really enjoyed myself.
Great.
Thank you guys. Thank you for your support, putting up with our, I don't know, it's been good having an even keel there. Just when it comes to this sort of thing and you think about all the stuff, it's a weird sort of FOMO, like every summer rolls around and you've got a season to just jump ahead just that little bit. So there's always all these pushes and there's time frames which always slip with packaging. So anyway, thank you to the officers for helping out, just keeping things a bit steady on that front.
Yeah, but when you think about it, it's like you're putting your neck out. You're like you say, you're paying the X amount for printing. You're doing all these things, and it's what you're doing. I mean, what we call it is pure enjoyment, because that's what you create, pure enjoyment. And people think about that when you're growing up. You think about, oh, I bought a Cornetto. Oh, I bought a Patent Sticks. Oh, you know, and people line up for, even if we talk about Messina. I mean, they create experiences, and you're part of that. So, I mean, it's quite an honor to work with a company such as yours. So that's great. And you know what? We'll all talk to each other soon.
Indeed.
And
indeed.
thank you very much for joining us today.
I got to go sell some ice cream now. So.
Yeah.
You saved the best for last. That is that is an exit with style.
Thank you. My mum made it for me.
Oh, I love it.
But we didn't even touch upon that there's people in Singapore that have your brand available at any time, and that they wear those sorts of hats at times. Yes.
Yeah, we did. When we launched, we did I was over there wearing this hat with a few other, people over there. We're sending an order. Singapore's in lockdown yet. Next week we've got we're sending a pallet over there. So we've got some really good partners in Singapore. There's plenty of growth to do around the world, but you got to concentrate on what's in front of you. Make sure it's going well. Anyway,
good on you.
Thank you guys.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Stick. All right, you can
later.
just click out, and we're going to stay online for a little bit longer.
No problem. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
There he goes. Awesome. So that was obviously here on BRANDCORE. We're going to be talking about other businesses that have evolved their brand over the years. This was just one really interesting look at a homegrown brand that literally started with a logo that could kind of churn out themselves on a inkjet printer to gradually adding more.
Yeah, but you can't think of a more homemade brand than what they do. And that's awesome. I love it. I love that part.
Yeah. So,
Story.
So we'll get some different business on next time. But in the meantime, I guess anyone who's listening, next time you go to a farmer's market and you pick up those products, hopefully you have a renewed sense of what's gone into making that product, and also a sense of where it could potentially go in the next 10 years.
It's so stupid how hard it is to get like great food to people, but I mean, it takes a lot of work. So yeah, you're right. Yeah. You're right in appreciating what it takes to get there. Yeah, and even like I find that some of the best people that do things, they don't even get acknowledged. It's just it's every day. Like you go to your local bread place, and they happen to be French or whatever, and it's great, but it's not the world's best. But they do it out of love. That's great. So I'm sorry, that was a rant.
All right. Well, thanks to everyone for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed that. If you missed part of it, we'll be sharing an edited version on IGTV next week. We'll also have an article on our website. You can find us at theoffices.com.au, and feel free to send us your comments, questions, and kudos.
Or anyone we want to talk to, especially in the food industry. Alrighty?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay,
All right.
We're off.
Enjoy your Friday. Bye.
Okay, bye.